first and foremost, I guess, invest in educating yourself on what investing really means, what investing is all about. It's not a casino. It's not an overnight thing where you're going to make a quick buck.
Hey everyone, I am Tori Singer. I'm a reporter for MBAchic. I'm joined by Mabel Nuñez, investing educator and founder and CEO of Girls on the Money. Mabel, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to talk to you today.
Hi, Tori. I'm excited to be here. So thank you for inviting me and excited to share with the MBAchic community. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, we're going to talk a little bit in a minute about your own MBA experience, which I know was really formative to you. But first, let's get into Girls on the Money. So, of course, you're the founder, and it was founded back in 2014, which is the same year that you graduated with your MBA in finance. So, talk to us about Girls on the Money and a little bit about how the power of understanding investing changed your life and inspired you to help and change other people's lives.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So I first discovered the whole investing world thing when I was a senior in college, which was way before 2014, many years before. I don't want to age myself. But then I became obsessed with the whole concept of investing because, well, first of all, my professor at the time that taught us how to invest explained how, anybody with any type of income could buy stock in these amazing companies and grow their wealth through doing that. And I was just very impressed by that and wondering if that was true or not. And then several years later, I started to invest on my own. Around 2008, that's when I started to invest outside of a 401k because when I started my first job out of college when I was like 21, I did contribute to my 401k and stuff like that. But in terms of investing myself in stocks and funds, that didn't start to 2008. And as maybe some of you guys know, that was the year that the whole market crashed and it was all this debacle towards the end of the year. But it turned out to be a blessing. I say this on my social media all the time. It was a time when I was able to invest for very cheap and buy all these amazing stocks. But then fast forward, it wasn't right away that I realized how powerful investing was. Maybe 5 years later, maybe right away I noticed how fast my money will grow. Like my stock goes up like $50 or like $30 like within like a month or something like that. Even though that wasn't like sustainable, I'm more of a long-term investor, but I did notice that those type of things, so that caught my eye. But then it wasn't until maybe 5 years later or a little bit longer that I saw, wow, this is incredibly powerful. Like I can see why people say they can build wealth over time through investing. And it got to a point where, as you said, in 2014, when I decided to build Girls on the Money, the reason why I was able to just leave my full-time job behind or not seek a career after my MBA in terms of like working at an investment bank or working for somebody else was because I got to a point where my savings and investments allow me to just do my own thing. So that's when that was one of the examples that I realized, like, wow, this is really powerful. Like I was able to grow my money to the point that I was able to reach a level of freedom that maybe I wouldn't have been able to reach had I just been saving my money or, not investing it pretty much. So that kind of fueled my passion to build the Girls on the Money business, teaching other people how to do it on their own as well. So just because I'm speaking from experience, it's something that I've done myself. So I wanted to teach others how to do it themselves too.
Thank you so much for that context. Really helpful. And I know you've been able to help so many people, not just women, primarily women, but men too.
Yes.
So, talk a little bit for our community about how achieving your MBA has influenced your own career and success. I'm sure some of the tools that business school gave you became incredibly important in your current role. Do you have any advice for other women maybe considering going for their MBA?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say have a clear idea of how the MBA is going to help you in your career or whatever it is that you want to do. For me, I went into the MBA with the idea that, yeah, I want to work in finance. Finance was my passion since I discovered the investing world. So I'm like, oh, I want to work for an investment bank. I want to work in Wall Street. I need an MBA for this. But I wasn't really specific about, seeking, how you call it, connections or networking with people that were in that field and stuff like that, or having like a clear plan of, okay, I'm going to get my MBA. By the time I have my MBA, I'm going to have all these interviews lined up. I'm going to have these connections lined up. I didn't have that clear path. So I would say that anybody that's pursuing an MBA or is thinking about that, kind of have a clear idea of, how you plan to take advantage of that degree, because it is expensive and it is time consuming. I didn't have a life for 4.5 years. And I say that because I went to school part-time. I know some people do their MBA full-time. They go to away for 2 years and they're done. I was working full-time at the same time I was doing my MBA. So I had no life for that. For 4.5 years, I was just going to work, going home, and just like doing my homework and stuff like that. And because of that, I didn't have the time to like, or maybe not the time, but like the inclination or the energy to go build connections with people in my, in the MBA school or outside of it and stuff like that. So I would say have a clear path of what kind of, how is that MBA going to help you? Because you don't want to just graduate and be like, okay, now what? Like I have this degree, now I have to go out and seek internships or whatever. Like, by that time it might, I don't want to say it's too late, but that's like, it's not, you're in a better advantage if you start doing your MBA career. And I would say another thing, if you can get, this is probably common sense to many, like if you can get your employer to pay for it, even better. Like my employer at the time did pay for a bulk of my MBA, so that was really helpful financially. Even though I did have to pay a bulk of it myself, because it was, they were just helping me with part of the tuition. And I would say with professors, you're gonna go through difficult courses. For me were like courses like accounting and some of my finance courses, and you might feel like really depressed at some point, like, oh, I'm gonna pass this class, I'm gonna fail this class. But the teachers the professors are there to like help you. That's their job. So I would say if you're ever going through like a difficult course, go to office hours, show your face, show that you care. And that and I'm speaking from experience, I had a class that I thought I was going to just fail like straight out. Like I was getting like really like 30s in my test, like it was crazy. But I went to office hours and I spoke to the professor. He saw my face, he saw that I cared about passing the class, and he ended up passing me. I ended up doing better in the class, but I think the fact that I went to talk to him and he showed that I wasn't just like one random name on his list, that I cared about doing well in his class. He gave me a chance. So just keep those things in mind as you start your MBA career. Just thinking from the top of my head, the things that helped me get through the whole program, because it is intense. And MBA is not like, people say I want to get an MBA or I want to be a doctor, but they don't realize like it's really difficult. Like it could be really difficult to get through all the classes and all those years of education. So just consider that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so really investing in building those connections and those networking, and also the relationships with your professors is really crucial. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I wanted to dive a little bit into your own background. So you are a proud Dominican immigrant with Hispanic Heritage Month wrapping up. I wanted to ask you, can you describe what your hope is for other Latina women out there about the value of investing? I know that I've heard you speak about your father and your family and being very adamant about, paying off credit cards, things like that growing up. And that obviously made a big impact in your life and your career trajectory. But, not everyone does have that amazing core value of families and parents instilling them with financial advice. So do you have advice for other Latina women out there?
Yeah, absolutely. For Latinas and people of color, minorities, we're not really exposed to, first of all, personal finance, like you said, is rare. It's a rare topic in our family circle for most people. I would say I got lucky with my dad, because he's like that kind of like a serious person who's like like an A personality, who's like to the T, and he would teach me what he knew about personal finance. Nothing about investing, just like saving and stuff like that, and credit cards and stuff like that. But I would say that's a rare thing across the board within our communities. So I would say just know that you have other people out there that can help you, that can guide you. There's books out there that that can educate you on the proper way to how to personal finance topics or investing topics and stuff like that. I would say just like find ways to get educated, and that it's possible for you to be the first person in your family to build an emergency fund, to start investing, to not have credit card debt. You don't have to be the statistic of your family just because, oh, my family, they all have debt, they all have crazy car payments, they all live in paycheck to paycheck. You don't have to be that person. You can be the outlier, and you can, go back and, kind of teach by example, not really like kind of forcing people to do anything, because sometimes people get offended, like, you don't want to tell them, you're doing it wrong. You can just live by example. Like, when my family or my cousins noticed that I was investing or that I was good with saving money and stuff like that, they started to ask me questions, and I would help them out, not in a way of like telling them what to do, just like offering that guidance, just by being an example of you can be different. You don't have to follow the same norm that your family has followed for many generations. And unfortunately, that's something very common in our communities, because I've lived it. I've lived in it, and my friends, family members, I've seen it. I've seen how it's not the normal thing to be educated when it comes to money. So, but there's we can break that barrier. You don't have to be stuck in that cycle forever. So
that's so true. It's so important too, and it's a good lesson to share, I think, with everybody listening. You kind of already touched on this now in your answer, which I appreciate, but I did want to delve a little bit deeper into that idea. I know that you grew up in the Bronx. You're very passionate, as you kind of just described, about making investing accessible for underrepresented communities. So can you further kind of speak to, if someone in our audience maybe is feeling discouraged on the outside, in the peripheral of the investing or finance world, do you have any words of encouragement to say, that you belong in this space as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want, I would say, why are you discouraged? Is it that you think you don't have enough money to invest? Is it that you feel that you have a lot of debt, or maybe you feel that this is too difficult? Whatever it is, those are all excuses in this day and age, especially 2022. For those that don't know, investing has never been this accessible. Back in the days, there was a lot of red tape. Either you have to have a minimum amount to invest, like thousands of dollars, or in order to even open an investment account, or you have to go through your bank or through a financial advisor. That's no longer the case. In this day and age, anybody with any income, with any minimum, even if you say, okay, I only have $50, what am I going to do with that? You can do a lot. You can open your investment account and start building from there. That wasn't accessible to us back in the days. So I want people to understand, or my people, or people in general, watching this or listening to this or reading about this, that there's really no excuse whatsoever you to just get started, to get your foot in the door. But I would say that before you start participating in the markets, like you said, it's for everyone. It is incredibly accessible. I would say it's incredibly important to get educated. First and foremost, unfortunately, the world of investing and finance has a lot of scams, has a lot of people telling you that you can get rich overnight, building all these crazy dreams or whatever that they're not true. For the most part, these people are trying to like just get your money or get, so you got to be very careful. You have to like, first and foremost, I guess, invest in educating yourself on what investing really means, what investing is all about. It's not a casino. It's not an overnight thing where you're going to make a quick buck. It's not a system where you're going to invest to pay off your debt. It doesn't work that way. There's like steps that you have to take, and I think we're going to touch on that a little later before you get into the point of investing. But education is incredibly important. But after that, just know that it is for you. It's accessible. You don't need to have a lot of money. You don't need a middle person. You don't need a financial advisor. You don't need anything in this day and age to start participating. Just the things that you have to know what you're doing in order to take those first steps. And it's not difficult. It's just, it's a skill like any other skill that you can learn.
I love it. So no excuses. It's 2022. Everyone can get involved. I love that mentality. That being said, so what are your top money management tips for anybody out there who is in the beginning stages of investing?
Yeah, so I guess that's where I wanted to get to, that there's steps that you have to take before you jump into investing. And that's something that I emphasize in my platform, in my content all the time. And it might not sound exciting to a lot of people, but you do have to be, I would say, have an emergency fund first and foremost, in a preferably in an online savings account, because they give you the best interest rates. because an emergency fund is incredibly important because emergencies happen out of nowhere. You have to have some money stashed away to take care of that. And the standard amount is maybe 3 to 6 months of living expenses. But just start somewhere, stashing money away for emergencies. Try to get rid of your credit card debt as much as possible, your consumer debt. It doesn't make sense to start investing when you have a lot of debt, only because the interest rates on credit cards and those type of consumer debts is astronomical. It's like 18%, 20%, even higher now that the Federal Reserve increased rates. Those rates are even higher for credit cards. So even if you're making money in the markets, here and there, everything's gonna be negated by the fact that your debt is growing at astronomical pace. So you kind of want to get rid of that as much as you can before you have to start investing. And I would say something I forgot to mention: if your employer offers a 401k plan or some retirement plan where you can contribute every paycheck, it's even better if they have a match because you're getting free money. So participate in that. Even if you don't have a match, try to set something up, just because that's an automatic way for you to start investing money without even kind of thinking about it, because it's through your job. And you can open other accounts, but I don't want to get too technical, like Roth IRAs and stuff like that. You can open those too, but that's I don't want to get too intense into this. But then after you do your foundation of you have your savings, you paid off most of your credit card debt or your consumer debt. Then I would say start putting money away in an investment account. And even if you don't start investing just yet, maybe you want to get educated first before you get started. It's always a good idea to have that account there open. Send some money there, $50, $10, whatever it is. And maybe the ideal way would be that you automatically send money there every 2 weeks, whenever you get paid, every month. So that way, by the time you're ready to start taking those first steps with investing, you already have your account open, you already have money there. You're like, okay, I'm going to buy this ETF or these funds, and just get started that way. So I would say those are some steps that I would take just to get started on that journey.
Thank you. That's great advice, and a good reminder too about the scams out there, and just being aware not to have unrealistic expectations with your investing, and to really be grounded in what your goals are, wiping out that debt you might have in advance, and just getting kind of really strict with your finances before you dive into investing. So it's an exciting place to be, but you have to do a little bit of work to get there, I think is kind of your lesson. So Mabel, thank you so much again for your time and your insight. You have such valuable lessons to share with so many people, and we really can't wait to continue the conversation with you and with the MBAchic community in the future.
Thank you, Tori. It was my pleasure to be here with you. So I'm excited. Any questions, you guys can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help anyone out there.